Julie Gunlock on the line with a senior fellow with the Independent Women's Forum and director of the IWF's Women for Food Freedom Project, IWF.org. You can read all about it. Julie, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. Question. If a corporation determined that they could make a nice little profit by putting vending machines in our schools from which our school children could purchase softcore porn, which is perfectly legal for kids to have. I'm not talking about hardcore. I'm talking about softcore. Would you be opposed to that?
Well, yes, and I think most normal adults would be opposed to that. And I think what we should do is make sure that local school officials have the right to decide what local kids have access to in schools.
Okay, so then why are you opposed to food porn?
I'm not opposed to it. I don't think maybe you didn't read my piece, but actually I actually said in my piece that I don't really care if kids have access to this. In fact, I don't really want kids to be able to get Doritos and Red Bull and things like that in the schools. But what I want is for local school district officials, local school officials, to be able to make these decisions, not have these rules come down from Washington. That's the problem. That's the problem I have. I don't mind if local school districts want to make a decision that they want to pack their vending machines with healthy snacks and water and low-fat milk. That's fine. What bothers me is that these rules are coming down from Washington, and it's really not necessary.
But what do you do when you've got a very poor area? And as you know, this is where a lot of this is happening. You got a very poor area. You've got a school board that's got almost no money at all. In fact, the tax base, they're broke.
Right.
And you've got a vending machine company that comes along and says, "Yeah, we can make you some extra money.
Well,
Let us just put our stuff here."
I don't know why you think school officials in poor areas don't care so much about kids and don't care about their kids' nutrition.
Well, they're having to choose between their kids having candy bars or and school books, or their kids having not candy bars and no school books.
Well,
isn't that a horrible Sophie's choice?
Yes, it is. But, ultimately, these should be the decisions of the local school districts. These should be the decisions and frankly, if there are kids that are going to these schools, ultimately these things should be in the parents' area of decision. Frankly, look, let's, fine, take the stuff out of the schools, Tom. I think we agree. This stuff, maybe kids shouldn't be getting this stuff. I don't think we really disagree a whole lot. I think that this stuff should be in the control of parents. I don't think schools really should be cafeterias.
Would you be okay with a federal rule that said that you can't have porn foods in the schools
I'm not sure
unless
what porn foods are. I don't speak this language, so I don't know what porn food is.
Porn food, in my mind, is food that's basically empty calorie, sugar,
Sure.
junk food. Okay, I consider it food porn.
Let me ask you: do you object to the fact that this new school lunch program is leaving kids starving? Literally, you're so concerned about these kids in these poor areas. Are you concerned about the fact that the reforms that went through because of Michelle Obama shepherding through this through Congress have left so many of these kids, these poor children who, as you have said, need these school lunches? I don't agree with that, but they need these school lunches, and now they're not eating them. Are you concerned about kids actually not eating the lunch that's provided at school?
I would dispute your assertion, but that's not what we're talking about.
Well,
my question that I was starting to ask you was: would you be opposed to a rule, since there is federal funding for these schools, there is some federal line that goes into our local schools, that you cannot have porn food in your school unless the local school board decides explicitly to have it? Because right now it's you can have it unless the school board decides not to. Why not make it an opt-in rather than an opt-out?
What I want is, the number of regulations and rules that come down on these schools. There is a reason that in downtown Chicago, lunch ladies that were part of a lunch lady union actually went downtown and were protesting, begging for more control over what kids were eating. You say you don't believe that that's a problem, but these lunch ladies, the women who actually work with the schools and work with the kids, were saying that they are so unable to make any decisions because of these ridiculous rules that come out of Washington telling them that they can't put butter on corn and they can't salt anything. I mean, it's insane, the regulations that are coming out of Washington. So frankly, I don't want Washington telling the locals how they do their job. I think the local school districts care about these kids, and I don't know why you have so little faith in these local school districts. I mean,
I have not asserted that I have no faith in local school districts.
Well,
what I think that you're missing, Julie, respectfully,
they need all this instruction from Washington.
What I think you're missing, Julie, respectfully, is that there are neighborhoods in the United States where the parents are working 2 and 3 jobs, where parents are illiterate, where parents are not able to be involved in their schools, where you know, and where you and I, federally, because of that, we're picking up a good chunk of the tab. And shouldn't we at least have, if it's going to be our money being spent, shouldn't we have some say in how it's spent? Or are you opposed to that?
What I want is for children to be fed, and I want.
What you want is all the federal money out of the schools.
What
right?
I want is for the locals to have some semblance of control over how they operate their schools.
But that's really a metaphor for really what your agenda is to get the federal money out of the schools, right?
No, I'm talking about the food. And right now, the school lunch program is a mess.
And you don't think that there should be any federal funding for school lunches?
Anything else, I mean, is to ignore years and years of them trying to reform the school lunch program. I mean, talk about Senator Harkin. I mean, he's been trying to reform the school lunch program.
Julie, you're not addressing my question. You are you or are you not opposed to federal funding for school lunch programs in poor neighborhoods?
No, I'm not opposed to a school lunch program existing. I am absolutely not.
Funding.
In fact, if you read any of my writing on this, I have defended the school lunch program
with federal funding.
Yes.
Okay, then if you and I are paying for this with our federal taxes, shouldn't we have some say in how those monies are spent?
You can send money to. I mean, why in the world does it require the? I mean, you understand, Tom, that the USDA actually has a list of approved fruits and vegetables. I mean, do you really think a Chicago lunch lady needs to look at a list of approved vegetables and fruits to serve kids? I mean, the detail, they drive down into the details on these issues, Tom. I mean, it's not really necessary that Washington tells a school lunch lady
Julie,
how to feed children.
What you're doing is using a small anecdote of an occasional or agreed upon excess to generalize your attacks on an entire program.
Why did hundreds of lunch ladies go down to Chicago and protest this? This is a real problem. There is a real problem in this country of dictating.
There's a real problem in this country of hungry children and of malnourished children and of obese children. And you don't want to do anything about it. You want to turn it over to the corporations.
No, Ty. I think that's exactly the opposite of what I've been saying.
No, you want the vending machines to be able to offer kids any kind of porn food that they want.
You asked me that question. Are we going back to the first question you asked me? You asked me about that, and I disagreed with you. And I told you, if the locals want to take vending machines out, they should have the right to do it. It doesn't have to be a rule from Washington. I mean, it's unbelievable. A survey was done of school nutrition directors, nearly 1,300 of them last year, and it's amazing the work that they were doing. They care about these kids. I mean, you suggest that these local school nutrition directors don't care about these kids. They do.
I am not suggesting that. I would never suggest. Julie, you're putting words in my mouth. That is so wrong. I have not done that to you, have I?
Well, you told me I wanted the corporations to take over, so...
Well, I think you do. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought IWF's position on pretty much everything was that if it's run by a corporation, it's going to be done better and more efficiently than if it's run by government. Am I wrong?
I have no idea why you're talking about I am not talking about corporations. I am talking about local school lunch ladies and local school officials having more control over what is fed to children. I have said nothing about corporations, and I have no idea why you're bringing it up.
Well, because historically that's been the IWF position, the Independent Women's Forum position, that the free market is better than government. Is it not?
I'm glad to be making history on your show tonight, Tom.
Okay, so you think government is better than the free market?
I think locals care more about kids than some bureaucrat in Washington.